Hey guys, so my podcast episode was episode 51, Small Talk, Big Deal. And as you might think, it was all about small talk. It wasn't really too much of like linguistic intricacies or like science of small talk. It was more like telling some stories and like building up some strategies for how to improve your small talk. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is phatic conversation versus small talk. So phatic talk is kind of like that rehearsed like dance you do with someone almost. It's like, how are you? Good. You good. It's like you do it to be polite and there's not really any thinking behind it. It's all just kind of on instinct. Whereas small talk moves a little bit past that. It's a little more original and it's kind of like to build solidarity with someone. Um, so yeah. The next thing they talked about was like some cultural differences that they've seen in their lives with small talk. So one of them grew up in Nepal, and the interesting thing there was like small talk was oftentimes like this like suffering story that you tell someone about your life, like to show how resilient you are. Whereas other cultures, they might say this is an imposition, or like Western cultures, like this could lead to like a one-upped contest type of thing. Like, oh, you think your life is so hard? Like, I have these problems, and like, it just turns into this whole contest. Another cultural thing they talked about was in Nova Scotia. One of them said that the small talk was often like to find out how you're related to someone. So like, it could be like a connection by blood or like through mutual people, but like you try and find that connection that you might have with someone in some way. Um, and then the last thing they talked about were like some strategies to up your small talk, especially um, in their lives in academia. So you're welcome. Um, so one of the things that they talked about were like media references, and it's interesting because they discussed a lot like how media references have evolved from like our parents might have been quoting like movies, whereas we're quoting, I hate to say like TikToks, but we're quoting like TikToks, or like using some shared knowledge. So like this could be like, oh, I know this person likes sports. We could talk about sports, or like I know that we're both experiencing this weather. We could talk about the weather. Um, or like another trick that they use where was like how's the X, where X is like some noun relating to the person. Obviously you'd have to know something about them to use this trick. So like how's the family, how's the dog, how's your project going or whatever. Another trick that somebody said was that one of them said was the most helpful was the occasion location trick. So like say you're at an academic conference, which is the setting that they usually talked about this in. You could be like, oh, how's your conference going? Or like, you're in the workplace, how's your work going? How is, you know, you get the idea. Um, Another thing was like keeping a mental list of open-ended questions. So like the one that they found the most helpful was like, what's something that you've uh, worked on lately that you're super proud of? Something that you can ask to anyone at any time, and it can lead to something, uh, past just the small talk. So that's all I got for you guys, but thank you.